Started, as all good internet plagues do, with something wholesome. A ginger tabby with impossibly round eyes, dancing to a slowed-down version of a pop song. Then came the sad cat diaries, the cooking cats, and the ones where they wore little suits and, filed taxes. My name is Edward, Ed for short, and I used to be a creator of real, analog, human-edited videos. Now, I'm drowning in slop. But I get it. I really do. Why are they popular? I watched a video yesterday of a cat named Chubby, who accidentally fell into a blender, was rescued, and then became a DJ. It had 50 million views in 2 hours. That right there is the secret sauce. Maximum chaos, minimum effort. People are exhausted, stressed, and tired of other people, as one creator of these things told me. These AI cats are a form of instant, digital escapism, a virtual reality that doesn't require a headset. They mix comfort. Cats are inherently cute, with absolute absurdity. Why is that cat in space? They are the ultimate for you page bait, designed to grab you in 3 seconds. But as someone who watches this stuff to see how the sausage is made, or in this case, how the cat is rendered, I know there are things that go wrong. The first thing you notice when you actually look at an AI cat video is that it's not really a video. It's a series of AI-generated images, a slideshow, and the AI makes the cat shift breed, fur pattern, and design 5 times in 30 seconds. They become these surreal, shifting, uncanny creatures. Sometimes they get too dark. They start showing cats in human-like, depressing, or even violent situations like that one with the cat lady in the antebellum South. The most dangerous thing isn't just the weirdness. It's the volume. AI-generated slop is flooding the internet, hiding real, artistic, or high-effort content. It's a dead internet scenario where machines are making content for other machines to consume. Then there is the emotional manipulation. As a creator, it hurts to see a 30-second AI story, made by feeding a few prompts into an app, getting more engagement than a project I spent months on. These videos use sad, AI-covered, or meowed songs to trigger raw emotion, and sometimes, those emotions are misplaced. The most worrying trend? Young children are being traumatized, according to media experts, by these seemingly cute videos that turn into, horror stories with characters like Chubby Jr. being abducted or injured. So, yeah, the AI cat videos are taking over the internet. They are easy to make and, for some reason, we can't look away. That is, until one video had me watching regardless of the slop content. It all began on August 25th, 2004. I was 10 years old back then. The oak tree in our backyard was the center of our universe. A towering, leafy fortress where Jonah and I spent our summers. Jonah was 14, 2 years older, fearless, and always protecting me. Then there was Elena. She moved in next door during the summer of the drought. She was 17, with hair that smelled like honeysuckle and a laugh that made my chest feel tight. Jonah fell hard. I did too, in that quiet, desperate way younger brothers do. But Elena loved Jonah. She loved his wild stories, the way he could climb to the highest branch, and how he looked at her like she was the only person on earth. The memory of that day is a fractured dream, hazy around the edges but sharp in the center. It was hot and thick. We were in the attic of their old barn, looking for old comic books. Instead, hidden beneath a mildewed rug, we found it. A heavy, black revolver. "Don't touch it," I said, my voice trembling. "It's just an old prop. Our dad buys these all the time." Jonah picked it up, examining the weight. He aimed it at the barn rafters, laughing. Bang! "You're dead." Elena came up the ladder then, breathless, laughing at us. Jonah spun around, acting out a scene from a movie we watched, the gun pointed toward us now. "Freeze! Hands in the air!" he joked, doing an awesome imitation of a police officer. "Jonah, no!" I cried. "You're gonna get us in trouble." "Oh, come on. It's not loaded. Watch." He pointed the muzzle at his own chest, and that's when I saw the trigger move. The sound that followed was loud, dry, and terrifyingly final. A split second of silence followed, a vacuum that sucked the air out of the room. Elena didn't scream at first. Her smile faded almost instantly. Jonah's eyes widened, his gaze falling from me to his own chest. then to the gun, then back to me. And that's when I spotted a crimson splotch forming from Jonah's white t-shirt, like a beautiful flower. He didn't say anything. He just slumped, sliding down the plywood wall. Jonah! Elena's voice was tiny. Panic was a cold tide that swallowed us. I rushed to him, my hands shaking so hard I couldn't grip his shirt. Elena was on the other side, already screaming, trying to put pressure on his chest, her beautiful honeysuckle-scented blouse turning red. Elena, her face wet with tears, was shrieking at me to call someone, anyone, but her voice was muffled in my ears. My mind was completely blank. I could do nothing but stare at the gun on the floor, then at the chaos unfolding in front of me. It was a game for him. He was just playing. An hour later, the sound of sirens was distant, then deafening, blending with the frantic screaming. I remember the flashing lights cutting through the dusty twilight of the barn. I remember strong arms pulling me away from Jonah. I remember the smell of gasoline and sweat and something metallic. The police were everywhere, shouting, taking photos, asking questions I couldn't answer. I just kept saying, "We didn't know." Elena was sitting on the grass, sobbing into her hands, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. Then the cops took me away from the barn, from Jonah. Years have passed, and I still wake up smelling honey and dried blood. The guilt was a quiet, constant presence, like a heartbeat that never stops, reminding me of the summer that broke the world. The blue light of my monitor was the only thing illuminating my room, a stark contrast to the 3 a.m. shadows in the corner. I was deep in the loop, that endless, mindless downward swipe on my phone, scrolling through AI cat stories. I sighed, preparing to call it a night, when the algorithm served up something different. The thumbnail was grainy. A small, black kitten with a red t-shirt and denim jeans standing in a forest area, pointing a very realistic, black handgun at the viewer with a large, wicked grin. The title, typed in a clunky, bold font, read, "Naughty kittens find a gun." It didn't end well. I didn't swipe. My thumb paused. It was dark, arguably immoral, and absolutely AI slop, but it hooked me instantly. I clicked. The video began with a saturated, hyper-smooth AI sheen. 3 anthropomorphic kittens, Dennis, the sleek black cat from the thumbnail, Justin, a hyperactive orange tabby dressed in 1980s teen clothing, a graphic t-shirt with a neon windbreaker, acid-wash jeans and high-top sneakers, and Angela, a slender SPHYNX cat wearing a stylish, fashionable purple attire, stood on a manicured suburban lawn. The sun was unnaturally bright. Off-screen, a deep, comforting fatherly voice boomed. "Now remember, stay within the white picket fence. The world can be a scary place if you aren't careful." "We will, Pa," Dennis chirped. The parents went back inside. The music was a playful, royalty-free glockenspiel melody. As the kittens played tag, the ball rolled into a dense, unnaturally dark thicket of bushes at the edge of the property. Dennis crawled in to retrieve it. He didn't find the ball. Instead, his paws brushed against something that felt hard and exciting. He dragged out a shiny, red toy car. "Whoa!" Justin breathed, his eyes wide. "That looks so cool. Let's play with it, Dennis," Angela said, her voice excited. She stepped closer, her hairless, pink skin wrinkling in anticipation. "My mom said sharing toys is a great way to have fun." "It is just a toy, Angela," Dennis said, trying to sound brave to impress her. He mimicked a race car driver holding the shiny car with both paws. "See? It's probably fast." The music began to become more upbeat, the cheerful bells speeding up into a lively tune. Dennis began to push the car around. Justin giggled, dancing around and mimicking the sound of an engine. "Check this out," Dennis shouted. He tried to make the car do a loop-de-loop, but it tumbled out of his paws. As he fumbled to catch it, his claw hooked under the chassis. The car zipped across the lawn, making a satisfying whirring sound. The screen brightened. Justin's goofy expression turned into one of delight. A small, shiny sticker appeared on the toy car's red hood. He ran after the car, his limbs moving in a way that is far too fluid and exciting for a cartoon. "That was awesome, Dennis," Justin shouted, his ears flat against his head in the wind. The car laid in the dirt, waiting to be pushed again. Angela laughed, a high, happy sound that filled the video with warmth. The bright colors of the yard began to deepen and become more vibrant. The sun felt warm against the white fence. The sound of happy chirping birds filled the audio track. The camera zoomed in on Dennis's face. His large golden eyes are filled with joy and a hopeful, bright excitement. That is, until the video took a turn for the worse. In the tall grass of the property line, Dennis spotted a matte black object. He pulled a heavy handgun from the bushes. The AI struggled to render his paws correctly, making the grip look fused to his fur. "Whoa, guys, check it out," Dennis said, his voice suddenly a flat, glitchy monotone. "Dennis, put it down," Angela whispered, her large ears pinned back. "It smells like cold metal and burnt sugar. It isn't safe." Justin began laughing, poking at the trigger guard. "It's plastic, Angela. Look how it shines." Ignoring her, Dennis struck a pose, mimicking the action stars from the flickering TV inside. The same image from the thumbnail. Bang! "You're dead." Dennis grinned, the AI generating a series of rapid, distorted frames as he maneuvered the weapon toward his friend. However, there was no click of safety, only the sudden, deafening roar of a discharge that clipped the audio. Justin's laughter stopped. He collapsed onto the grass, his orange fur darkening. The comic relief was replaced by a high-pitched digital keening. Dennis dropped the gun, clattering with a sound too heavy to be a toy. "I didn't know," Dennis stammered, his feline face contorting into an uncanny human expression of grief. "I thought it was empty." The sirens began as a low hum, escalating until the screen flashed red and blue. The final shot was a drone like "Pull Away." The three kittens huddled in the dirt, surrounded by flashing lights. As the screen faded to a harsh, clinical white, the father's voice returned, distorted and slowed down. "I told you. The world is a scary place." And with that, the screen faded to black. I stared at the screen, my breath catching in my throat. I should have laughed. It was absurd. It was slop, a grotesque parody of storytelling. But I didn't. I felt a cold, sharp spike of vertigo in my chest, a sensation I hadn't experienced in 22 years. The memory surfaced not as a physical sensation. The smell of gun oil and the deafening, sharp crack in the barn. Jonah playing with the firearm, shooting himself in the chest. I, a terrified boy, grieved over his death that night in my bedroom, clutching my red toy car. The same car Jonah gave me for my birthday. It was an accident. A stupid, preventable mistake. The gun hadn't been secured. It was loaded. Jonah didn't know, and neither did me and Elena. The trauma of that moment, the sheer, irrational carelessness of an older brother dying in front of me, had stayed with me for 22 years. And here it was, animated for TikTok views. A black kitten, a toy, a sudden, meaningless accident that ruined everything in the blink of an eye. I threw the phone onto the bed beside me. It landed with a soft thump. I felt sick, a nauseating combination of shock and disgust. It was the irony that cut the deepest. The lines of dialogue, the shocking outcome, and the smoking gun. It all made sense. Someone had recreated Jonah's death in AI cat form. I had spent my adult life trying to curate a safe, controlled environment, avoiding the reckless energy of my childhood, only to be confronted with a digital echo of that exact moment. The AI didn't care that it was mocking my pain. It didn't even know it was mimicking a traumatic memory. It was just a machine, crunching data on cat and tragedy, and producing a horrifying, nonsensical result. But for me, in that moment, the digital, senseless death of an animated orange tabby was as real and as jarring as the crack of a gun in a quiet barn. I rubbed my eyes, feeling the tears that had welled up, not for Dennis or Justin, but for Jonah. "It's not real," I whispered to the empty room, my voice shaking slightly. "It can't be." But as I sat there, the quiet of the room felt heavy, and I knew I wouldn't be sleeping for a very long time. The autumn air was crisp, almost sharp enough to cut. which was why I was jogging, to feel something tangible, something that wasn't the dull ache of the past. My phone buzzed in my armband. It was Elena. I stopped by the edge of the park, leaning against a cold oak tree, my breath coming in ragged white puffs. "Hey, Ed," she said. Her voice sounded thin, digital, almost warped. "Elena, is everything okay?" I asked, looking at the gray sky. "I need to tell someone, and I know you hate this stuff, but I made something. A video. For that contest," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "Elena, I'm kind of in the middle of a run." "What are you talking about?" "It's an AI animation. I used those new tools. It's a black kitten named Dennis. He looks just like the one Jonah wanted to rescue, remember? He's playing with his friends. But then," she paused, her breath hitching, "he finds a handgun. It fires at this energetic orange tabby. Justin, so realistic, Ed. It's just a cat video, but it's..." The world tilted. My heart, which had been pounding from the exercise, stuttered. I saw it instantly in my mind's eye. Not a cat, but that damn barn. The glint of steel. The loud crack that still echoed in my ears every time I closed my eyes. "You did what?" I whispered, my voice breaking. "It's not real, Ed. It's AI. It's supposed to be dark humor, like the ones going viral. Just a silly, scary cat video." "A cat video?" I repeated, the rage building behind my ribs, tearing through the numbness of my grief. "Elena, you know how Jonah died. You know exactly what it sounds like when a gun fires in a small room. You were there, for God's sake." "I know, but that's why I did it," she sobbed. "I thought if I made it something fake, I could, I don't know, control it? Make it not real." "You made a joke out of my brother's death?" I shouted at the phone, attracting looks from passing pedestrians. I began to pace, the jogging forgotten. For years, people looked at me. They asked questions. They treated me like a suspect, like I wasn't in the barn when it happened. They whispered, "Ed was there. Ed had the gun." "I didn't think it would hurt this much, I promise." "Listen to me, Elena," I said, my voice cold, shaking with the memory of the coroner's report. "I didn't kill my brother. He shot himself. It was an accident. And you just turned that nightmare into a viral video." I hung up before she could reply. I was beyond pissed. I walked home, the city noise muted, the image of the black kitten and the gun seared into my brain. That night, I sat in my dark living room, the PTSD hitting me with the force of a tidal wave. I was back in that apartment, smelling the cordite. I could hear the crack. I could hear the silence that followed. I saw Jonah on the floor, the gun in his hand, a mistake that ended everything. I didn't kill my brother. He shot himself. The words were a mantra, a shield, but Elena had broken it with her careless, artificial fiction. I looked at my own trembling hands in the darkness, and for the first time since Jonah died, I didn't feel like I was the one responsible, but the sheer, senseless, artificial cruelty of it all was almost worse. "It was just a video," she said, "but the nightmare it brought back was real." I'm sitting here now, days later, still shaky. I'm writing this because I need you to understand something about the internet today. These AI videos, the ones about lost pets or the true crime ones where they bring victims back to life to speak, they are dangerous. I know. It's just a cat video, Ed. It's not real. That's exactly the problem. Your brain knows it's not real, but your subconscious? It doesn't know the difference between a simulation of trauma and the real thing. Feels the same. The adrenaline, the cortisol, the flashbacks, it all hits the same way. When you see those videos designed to pull at your heartstrings, to make you cry or feel shock, you are inviting in potential triggers. If you have trauma, a lost brother, a car accident, a violent incident, these things can rip that scab off instantly. I watched a black kitten play with a gun, and I felt the exact pain of my older brother dying again. Please be careful. Stop scrolling before you watch. Just one more. Protect your peace. If you have a past, treat your mind like a fragile room and don't let just anything walk in. Some things once seen cannot be unseen, and some memories once triggered cannot be easily put back to sleep.